Version 4.1. Initializing upgrades. Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, and right now I am the incredibly tired human being. I was up until about 3 o'clock this morning looking at election results because I'm a glutton for punishment, everybody. And then I was awake at 7 o'clock this morning to travel to the New Hampshire Supreme Court to cover the Robin Hood of Keene hearing. Now, if you have not heard of Robin Hood of Keene, let me summarize real quick. So back in the year 2012, almost 4 years ago, there were a group of people started out where, as part of some community service, I went out Robin Hooding to where I was putting nickels and dimes in parking meters near a parking enforcer to prevent people from getting parking tickets. And this was not a concept that I created at all. People had been doing this for years off and on in Keene prior to my arrival. And so I, went out doing some Robin Hooding. James Cleveland saw that and he was like, I've got this brilliant idea. Let's get people out there all day, every day, and try to make sure that nobody gets a parking ticket. And so then Robin Hood of Keene was reborn thanks to James Robin Hood Cleveland. And he was actually, for a while, paying people to go out and put money in parking meters. And the city of Keene did not like that. And in fact, the city attorney wound up filing a lawsuit against James and 5 other people, saying that they were, doing some sort of tortious interference and some civil conspiracy, something. We need a restraining order against them and a buffer zone, a floating buffer zone of up to 50 feet around the parking enforcer so that none of these 6 individuals can be anywhere near a parking enforcer. And then it went to court. And the Superior Court threw it out, said this is a violation of free speech and right to protest, and you can't do this. City appealed that to the state Supreme Court. Went to the state Supreme Court a couple years ago. Actually, I think it was about 3 years ago. And then state Supreme Court partially affirmed and partially remanded, meaning that they partially agreed with the lower court ruling and partially said you need to relook at this part of the case. And so then about a year and a half ago, I believe it was, there was another hearing at the Superior Court level, and then that got dismissed and the city appealed again. And so this was the 4th separate hearing, the 2nd at the New Hampshire Supreme Court. So I went and I was live reporting on both Twitter and Facebook. There's this wonderful thing, if you've never used it, called Hootsuite, that allows you to basically combine social media outlets. So you send one message, but you select which outlets you want to put it on, and then it goes out immediately. So you can post to Facebook and Twitter simultaneously. You can post to Facebook and Google Plus or several other things, and you don't have to use a service like If This Then That. And so I was live reporting, posting to my Facebook page, or my Facebook profile, the Facebook page for Free Press Publications, and also my Twitter account using hashtag Robinhood. So you can go and read all of that. So I was there for that and then stopped at the Secretary of State's office because, again, glutton for punishment, following elections. And, well, there was something amazing that happened in New Hampshire last night. And that is that the Libertarian nominee for governor, Max Abramson, pulled in over 4%, which means that the Libertarian Party will now be a recognized political party in the year 2018, meaning that we will have and this is the part I don't like, we will have a taxpayer-funded primary, but our candidates will automatically be on the general election ballot. We do not have to collect petitions to get our candidates on the ballot. Just pay a filing fee. And that, my friend, is absolutely wonderful and amazing. It will save us thousands, tens of thousands of dollars and countless man-hours. So, yes, that is amazing. So I stopped at the Secretary of State's office to find out, hey, let them know I'm the chairman of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. We're going to be ballot qualified. What do you need from me? And they said, we're busy tabulating stuff. Things aren't official yet. So as soon as everything's official, we'll get in touch with you. Let's get your contact info. So they have my contact info. I then stopped at the city clerk's office here in Keene to try to update my voter registration to say Libertarian instead of undeclared. And they called the Secretary of State's office and basically said, come back next week because we don't really know what the process is. Secretary of State says that they'll notify us, how to do what. So that happened. And so now I'm doing this show. And because today is Wednesday, that means it's the Ask Me Anything. And one of the questions is, do you know how many votes you received? And that's because I did a limited write-in campaign for president. And at this point, I do not. I have looked briefly at a couple of the states where I'm a write-in candidate, and thus far there are not tabulations of how many write-in votes any of the declared candidates received. So what they're showing right now, what I've seen, is the ballot listed candidates, and then they just have write-in and then a number. But I've not seen a breakdown of the write-in votes, so right now I do not know how many write-in votes I've received. Now, jumping into some of the other questions. Question, listening to you speak of wrestling led me to send you this link. Have you seen the movie, and what do you think of it? And it's about a 40-minute YouTube video of Roddy Piper talking about the movie They Live. And I saw the movie. I actually watched the movie for the first time about a week ago, I think. Very interesting movie. It left me wanting for more. And I'll explain and get into the other questions here in moments here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. The Doublespeak Dictionary by Leslie Starr O'Hara satirizes the marked difference between the ideal of we the people and the reality of we the elite, while offering an insightful glimpse into the clockworks of the totalitarian mind. Ever irreverent but never irrelevant, the Doublespeak Dictionary serves as a subversive and humorous but timely reminder that the emperor has no clothes. The Doublespeak Dictionary is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Getting into the questions here. The question is, I heard you talk about wrestling, led me to send you this link, and again, it's a video of Roddy Piper talking about the movie They Live. And it says, have you seen the movie, and what do you think of it? And again, yeah, I watched They Live for the first time about a week ago, I believe. And it was very slow at the beginning. Like, it started off very slowly. And if I did not know the concept of the movie, I would not have continued watching. Like, if it was just something that I'm flipping the channels, and not that I could do that because I don't have cable, but just, play along here. If I were, sitting down, flipping channels on TV to see, let me see what's on, and I came across it, and I watched for like 3 minutes, and I was like, yeah, there's not really a lot happening here, I would change the channel. But because I knew, there's, this pair of glasses, and you put them on, and you can see that certain people are aliens. So, like, I knew the plot of the movie, and no, I don't feel the urge to say spoiler warning because the movie's been out for 30 damn years. Just like if I'm talking about the movie Titanic and I say the boat sinks, yeah, I shouldn't have to say spoiler warning because that's based on something that actually happened over 100 years ago. That's why I've never seen Titanic. Like, I know the concept of it's a love story. Yeah, okay, then don't call it Titanic. Call it, like, Love on a Boat. Not The Love Boat, because that's something totally different. But you could, come up with a different name because, Titanic, yeah, I know the boat sinks. Don't need to watch it. Like, give me some different something on a historic event. But I digress and continue. So I knew what the base plot was, but I didn't know the actual story of how it played out. So I kept watching. And then at the very end, where it's like, oh, and now everybody can see the aliens, and then it ends. It's like, well, what happened next? It's like, you cut the movie off right when it should have been, like, the midpoint of the movie. Now, I don't know if they did that because they wanted to make a sequel. I don't know if they did make a sequel. Maybe they did. I don't know. But it seemed to me as though they ended prematurely. But, yeah, otherwise, I wouldn't necessarily watch the movie again. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but I wanted to watch it because I'd never seen it. But again, I just thought it was kind of slow. Next question. I heard you mention Facebook on the last episode of the show. You mentioned toxicity and stuff going on there. A couple of other people I know also vaguely mentioned stuff going on Facebook. I don't have a Facebook account, so don't use it. What exactly is going on there that is causing you folks to be more concerned than you usually appear to be? The other folks said to be glad I don't have a Facebook account. Why would a person have a Facebook at this point if it causes so much trouble? I don't get it. What is the appeal? Now, there's various ways that you can look at this, and I think one of the reasons that, Facebook and actually a lot of internet forum sort of things wind up being an avenue for drama is people a lot of times feel more comfortable typing out all of their angry thoughts to someone than they are saying those things to their face. Because a lot of times, even on Facebook where you've got, like your name and people know who you are, people are still more comfortable of posting angry rants at someone or, telling somebody exactly how they feel because, well, I'm comfortably behind my keyboard and I can do what I want and no repercussions. Whereas most people wouldn't just walk up to somebody and yell at them, "Hey, faggot!" But they're more comfortable posting that online. And again, it's not just Facebook. It's a lot of internet outlets. Now, as far as why have a Facebook account, there's actually a lot of networking that happens to where, like I've organized things on Facebook that I would not have been able to organize otherwise. And I basically try to avoid the drama. I don't get involved in these super lengthy discussion threads about, this person needs to be ostracized. No, this person needs to be ostracized. I don't get involved in that, but it'll pop up in my feed, so I see it. And I'll, glance at it a little bit, and then I'll hear people talking in real life about the Facebook drama. But I personally don't get involved. And again, the appeal is, the actual networking aspect of it. Continuing other questions, getting back into some election-related stuff here. If a person should vote, even in the case of having to choose between evils, then should a person move to a place that better represents their values and beliefs culturally and legally? And I would say that, I absolutely support that. It's called voting with your feet, and that's what he says. And I did that by moving to New Hampshire. In a lot of ways, New Hampshire is better than pretty much everywhere else in the United States. And that's not just me saying that because I happen to live here and like it here. There is, actual evidence to suggest that. The Freedom in the 50 States rankings that have been done several times over the last decade and a half consistently show New Hampshire as one of the freest places in the country. New York is the 50th freest state in the country. And for those of you that are bad at math, there are only 50 states in the U.S. Now, you might think, okay, New York's 50th doesn't surprise me. California 49th, a lot of people, it doesn't surprise me either. Now, here's what's surprising. New York could become twice as good, meaning you cut their score in half from what it is, and they would still be behind California. So that's how much worse New York is than California. New Hampshire, far and away better than most of the other places in the country. So, yes, I do support moving with your feet or voting with your feet. There are more questions. Stay tuned. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com.
Hi, this is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Now, there's also the concept, we're talking about voting with your feet, and I'm getting back into the questions here, but there's also the concept of voting with your dollars. Ernest Hancock from Freedom's Phoenix started something a few years ago called wallet voting. And what better way to vote with your dollars or your bitcoins than to get your hands on some real hard commodities? I'm talking specifically about gold and silver. And, well, you can do that with Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. Since 1977, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals. So you've got some gold and silver you need to get rid of? Call Roberts & Roberts. You want to get your hands on some gold and silver? Call Roberts & Roberts. And they take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases. They're actually Bitcoin preferred. And to prove that, they've removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. So call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760. That's 800-874-9760. Or visit them online at rrbi.co. That's RRBI, as in Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Incorporated, rrbi.co. back now to the questions. Continuing the train of thought here from voting with your feet. The emailer says, if liberty in this country is only to be bought and money and power corrupt, then what's the point of compliance or loyalty to the system? And I would say that I don't have any loyalty to the system. I acknowledge that the system exists, and there are some people that say, oh, then you're putting faith in it. No, I acknowledge that gravity and time exist, but I don't have faith in either of those things. I'm just acknowledging that they exist. Regarding the political system, I acknowledge that if I don't do exactly what a police officer says when he tells me to do things, that I might wind up either arrested or shot. Now, we can talk about whether or not it should be like that, and I say no, because if the consequences are you get kidnapped or killed, you're not dealing with regular people, you're dealing with criminals. And yes, I just called the police criminals because they are acting in a criminal manner. They have become robbers and thieves, but people accept their behavior because, well, we have laws on the books that say that they can do that. They have qualified immunity. They have statutory immunity. They have this, that, the other thing that says that they can do whatever they want. And if they violate your rights, it's okay because reasons. The next question, and again, this is sort of a train of thought sort of thing. It says, why not vote with the feet and leave the United States? And I would say probably the best reason to not leave the United States of America is that doing so then makes you subject to American foreign policy. If you think the domestic policy is bad, just wait until you look at the American foreign policy that winds up, basically controlling and enslaving a large swath of the world under the guise of freedom. And then there's also, the regulatory hoops and hurdles of other countries. And just because I acknowledge that, things could be better in the United States does not necessarily mean that there's a country that exists where I think things are operating the way they should be. And it further puts in this whole love it or leave it sort of thing. And it's this sort of weird mentality. And I'm not saying that the person sending me these questions believes this. But there are some people that, on the one hand, they'll say, love it. If you don't love America, then leave. But then they look at other situations, the Syrian refugee crisis being one of them, where they say, I don't know why those people aren't staying there to change their country. Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't tell people if you don't like it here, leave. And then when people try to leave, say, well, you should stay and try to change it. So it seems to be one of those sort of Schrodinger concepts of, simultaneously the opposite. He says, give me liberty or give me familiarity. That's, directly after his why not leave the United States. And again, I think that that's one reason some people don't leave the United States. I think work is another reason. Not everybody has a job or a skill that they can transfer very easily to another country. And then you also have the cost associated with moving, not just, a couple thousand miles, but then, if the point is to leave the United States and give up U.S. citizenship, there are, regulatory and costly burdens with that. If we're talking about getting citizenship in another country, that can be costly and time-consuming. And who's to say that over the period of 5 years or so that it takes you to get citizenship in another country, that country won't wind up being just as bad or worse than the United States? So there's a lot of reasons why and why not to leave the United States. There are more questions that I will definitely try to get to here in the closing moments of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Stay tuned.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.xyz, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.xyz today to find out more. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. A lot of questions here. I will do my best to get through these. Any that I do not get to today will be in the next Ask Me Anything next Wednesday. So the person here sent several questions all along the same sort of line of thinking about, started off, if a person should vote even in the case of lesser of two evils, then shouldn't they move with their feet, go somewhere that better fits them? Why have loyalty to the system? Why not vote with your feet and leave the United States? Or if we can agree that the system is corrupt and that it beats us no matter what, at what point then is it okay to revolt and water the tree of liberty? That is in reference to the Thomas Jefferson quote of, every so often the tree of liberty needs to be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots. And this is something that I cannot answer for you when you think it's okay to, just randomly start shooting government agents. One thing that I will say is that, and even the people that advocate doing this will admit that it does not seem to be beneficial at this point. And I am one of the people that I strongly believe that violence begets violence. And, there's a video by Larkin Rose, when should you shoot a cop or when to shoot a cop? And he goes through the moral questions of, like when the police officer turns on the light, he's threatening aggression. And do you have a legal right or a moral right to defend yourself from legitimate threats of force? But then even Larkin will admit that, like right now, if you just, shoot a police officer that pulls you over for speeding or not using your turn signal, bad things will happen. The questioner then says, without 100% approval by all of humanity, all of nature, in fact, how can any policy or system of law be just? And, that to me kind of seems more like a rhetorical question, partly because, that's what I think of. I believe that all human interaction should be voluntary. What's the saying? There's the video, the actual world's smallest political quiz. Should any good or service be provided at the barrel of a gun? And I say no. And, the system that we have now, goods and services, roads, schools, etc., are provided by the barrel of a gun. There are more questions. They will be covered next week. And don't forget, every Wednesday I answer these. Send those over, ama@fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.